Okay. Starting the playback in 2 seconds. So what you're seeing on the screen right now is me going through the last bit of cleanup on code. I've been working on a rebuild of Novillo since about September 5th or so, and I've been working on a kind of a total rewrite of the original concept going back to late May or early June. So I've got a number of months into this thing and about a month into this rebuild. And what I'm doing right now is just really just the last bit of cleanup, because I'm about to launch into what will make Novillo kind of a meaningful project. Right now, it does what you see on the screen on the right-hand side. It displays assemblages of drawings that are done by whoever's using it and importing it, or sourced from somewhere else. They're in SVG format, and this is a kind of a graphic novel creation tool that is built in the kind of digital media that makes certain things that are interesting to me possible. I'm going to talk about those maybe a little bit now and certainly in other videos. So this cleanup is all about getting to the point where it does what's really meaningful. You'll see it kind of at the very end, and what I'm doing is just taking out bits of code that don't do anything anymore, and they're cluttering things up, and I'm organizing the code so I can see clearly what has been written and is working. I've also done a lot of testing, a lot of reorganizing the data. Right now I'm just sort of saving some of what's just been changed into a repository on GitHub where this project is living right now. Where we're about to get to is where Novillo's life is, which is where when you create stories in Novillo that are made up of ever-changing images on the screen that are granular to the level of the individual lines that the artist draws. So every line has its own life. And this is because, like, Novillo's idea is that in drawing and creating art, it's the line that really has this kind of fundamental importance to what makes it personally and fundamentally the artist's own work. And the thing that's amazing with digital media is it lets those individual lines persist as individual objects throughout their life. So once they're finished work and you're seeing them on the screen, there's still individual lines in there to manipulate. And that's what Novillo does. And I've been trying to explain this to people for about, I don't know, for a year and a half right now. And I've had a couple of demo videos that sort of show what I'm doing. But really at the end of the day, you know, it won't be clear until this thing starts doing what it's really meant to do. So this last month's rebuild has been all about getting to the point where I can start to implement that functionality. And this is sort of an important day, October the 5th, I think it is right now, where we've got to the end of that process, and I'm going to start that process of building the life of Novillo so you can see what it really does. I'm kind of excited about this because I want this to get out to the world. I want this to be a highly accessible tool and a new way for people to tell stories to each other, taking what the graphic novel does and making it maybe a little less restrictive, you know? The graphic novel kind of, first of all, it eliminates long form text. That takes a whole expressive tool out. Novillo will solve that problem. Also, graphic novels are incredibly long, hard things to do. I mean, I've been working on one project for 10 years, and I can't really show you anything. I can show you, actually I can, but there's sort of not enough there, you know, and I need to get it to book form to release it. Well, that's what Novillo also changes. At every stage, even at the most rough drawings, Novillo will allow you to present your work to other people and say, this is what I'm making. Is it interesting? Do you want to help me on my path? And then create a kind of a Patreon-like structure where people can say, this guy seems to be doing cool things. I'll give him $1 a month to let him build this. And as a result, they'll be able to see this thing. Now we're about to test all the changes that I've made. Kind of have to do this, kicking Novillo up. And you'll see a little bit, a tiny indication of what Novillo does when I do this little test here to check that it still swipes properly. So here you have 3 different drawings that have been embedded into it. And what I'm going to do is I'll swipe upwards, and you'll see that as I swipe, a few things start to change in the screen in the little palette. And then at this point coming up, you'll see the image changes because we've moved from one composition to another. And that movement from composition to composition is how a Novillo story will work. So that's working. We're almost ready to make this happen. Watch for more updates to see what the changes look like.